Unlike Rush Limbaugh, I am not America's anchorman, and I neither play one on television. But I'm here with the Sophie Scholl Society talking about the two forbidden subjects, religion and politics. I'm Mel McGinnis, and if you haven't heard, the coronavirus is out there. Of course you've heard. Everybody has heard about it. And it's really making us think how we approach it as a culture, how we're dealing with it politically, how we're dealing with it economically. I know you've heard of conventional wisdom, but I'm going to say something rather unconventional today. And I got to admit, it's through what I've been hearing by Dennis Prager. I would say a very wise Jewish commentator on the culture. Someday I hope Dennis Prager knows who his Messiah truly is. But in any event, I listen to him, I read what he says, so I basically condensed it into a couple of pages here. Well, 2 pages of commentary. Oh, by the way, keep this in mind. I think you can see it in front of you. That statistic, very important statistic at this point. Fear and fretfulness seize the world upon the advent of the atomic bomb. That seizure now multiplies exponentially over a microbe. There's something strange, even eerie, about the very present time in which we live. Schools, businesses, restaurants have been forced to close. As of today, March 17th, there have been, 93 deaths in the U.S. Divide that by the United States population of 327 million, and the percentage of the possibility of you dying of it is what you see in this number held up in front of you. Yes, that's right, 0.00003%. I think I got my zeros right. You should see 4 zeros and then the 3. And that is the percentage rate of you dying at this point of coronavirus. Now, wouldn't a person who's come out of complete isolation for the last 2 months, seeing a headline, U.S. in lockdown after 93 dead, ask, what's changed? Like Mark Twain said, I've had a lot of troubles in my life, but most of them have never happened. In a nation infected with a virus-stricken psyche more than the virus itself, it is easier for those in positions of power and influence, like politicians, bureaucrats, and members of the panic media, to force others to close down and be kept from working when they know their jobs won't be lost and paychecks be stopped. Crushing livelihoods of others is easier when your livelihood is protected. Those who are saying that the nation is overreacting take a huge step, a huge risk in the arena of public opinion. But those who are for shut it all down policies can't lose. If there are 1 million deaths, they can say, see, we told you so. If there are merely hundreds or thousands of deaths, then they can say, look what we prevented. Crushing an economy is worse for the stability, order, and prosperity of a nation than a disease that temporarily afflicts it. Ruin an economy, and bad things are bound to happen in the long term, longer than what a disease or virus can do. That devastating Spanish flu killed 400,000 in Germany, mostly the young, in the late 1918, 1919. But it was the collapsed economy, not the fallout from the flu, which gave rise to the Third Reich. Do we close down the economy because there are not enough hospital beds and respirators? After watching a slew of measures be put into force, Dennis Prager asks, are there any measures now too extreme? Did you see this memo that came out recently by the CDC? It said this: available modeling data indicate that early short-term closures do not impact the epicurve of COVID-19 or available healthcare measures, hospitalizations. There may be some impact of much longer closures, such as 8 weeks, 20 weeks, further into the community spread, but that modeling also shows that other mitigation efforts, such as hand washing, home isolation, have more impact on both the spread of the disease and healthcare measures. In other countries, those places which close school have not had more success in reducing spread than those that kept their schools open, such as Singapore. Something to think about as you've been reading about all the school closures. Dennis Prager himself does not agree with this carte blanche school closure. And Prager says something else. The major health concern over COVID-19 says something about us. According to Prager, the virus is weakening our character. Yes, many will work valiantly, sacrificially, and bravely to combat this. But are we being conditioned for another national emergency for shutting down commerce, like climate change, called an existential threat? Have you heard this virus be called the same thing? Prager feels like the last stanza of our national anthem is being changed from the land of the free and the home of the brave to better safe than sorry. I'm all for Prager and what he has to say, at least having the opportunity to express it. I'm not sure if I'm all for what he says, but he really makes me think. Because conventional wisdom is saying to us, do what we're doing now in order to prevent something that could be very catastrophic. But given what our CDC has said in their observation of closures in other places of the world and how it really didn't mitigate it more effectively than those who kept the schools open, it gives me second thought about what we are doing. Are we living out of fear or wisdom? And I know it's a fine line between the two. But I pray that as we observe what's going on, we especially, as believers, can do good in our community, assisting our neighbors, blessing our elders, helping those that are isolated, while also thinking of this in ways that we may want to adjust things the next time. Because like Prager says, once you do it the first time, it becomes more easy to do it the second time. Think about that. Well, even though I haven't run out of time, unlike Tony Kornheiser, I myself will not promise you that I will do better the next time. Bye for now.